Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. And we have a very exciting guest. Steve and I were chatting a little bit about we have some kind of mutual backgrounds, and I'm really intrigued to learn more about this. I think I would call it an opportunity for us to all take better care of our health. So, for those of you just joining the podcast, we are Nexvia AI and specialize in helping business leaders scale their revenue through automation. So, if you want to learn to take your business to the next level, just stick around, and if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop me the word growth in the DMs, and I'll get back to you. But let's get to more important matters. Today's guest is Steve Bonner, the founder of SkinIO, which really is a company to me that's bringing life-saving skin cancer screenings into the digital age. And I say that as someone who has a history of skin cancer. You can probably tell from my skin, I'm a little prone. All right, so Steve and his team have really built a platform that uses technology to capture high quality full body images in just minutes. And I'm going to give him the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about how it's being used across different really categories, providers, patients, et cetera. So let's get into it. Steve, welcome to the show.
Great. Thanks, Michael. It's great to be with you and with your audience.
So when you think back to, as you've had quite the career already, but I'm very curious to hear what led you to SkinIO. When you think back to when you started it, what was happening that really made you feel that this was the move to make?
Great. Well, first, let me say I'm not the founder. I'm a very early participant in the team, and now the CEO. Have been CEO for 2 years, and can describe a little bit about the founding of the company. It was founded by a guy who is a very sophisticated Mohs surgeon, which is the most
Okay.
sophisticated form of surgical intervention, primarily for melanoma. He was watching the camera development in the various devices we use and decided in 2014 that it was good enough to allow him to develop technology to offer this enormous breakthrough in access to skin cancer information and to care. And so JC Lapierre put his own money in. He got some engineers working on it, wound up with 2 patents on the technology. And then we started into the market in the early 2020s. We're
Okay.
a little bit slowed by COVID, but we're now really hitting our stride. And my own journey, just quickly, I was the CEO of a company called Cancer Treatment Centers of America from 1999 until 2014. Grew it from 100 million to about $3 billion of
Wow.
revenues, and had agreed to stay 15 years, and I did, and then migrated out, and I've now built a portfolio of 25 healthcare startups where I'm an investor, an advisor, and board member, and got deeply involved in the dermatology sector in healthcare in 2017, and helped as a board member investor to build a chain from 4 clinics to 164 clinics.
Wow.
And on that journey, I met the people that had created SkinIO, and just was enormously impressed by the potential to really break through for a very needy group of Americans. And headline is that 33 million Americans today are walking around with undiagnosed skin cancer. And the path that they've had to get it diagnosed and get it into treatment is to find a dermatologist that will see them, look at their skin for 15 minutes, and then decide you need to go into full diagnosis and treatment, or you don't need to do that. And today, there's 6 to 9 month wait to get that initial exam. And if you've got a melanoma, 6 to 9 month delay is not innocent. And so,
Yeah.
what we offer is the opportunity to use our technology at home in your device, to take a full body skin exam, a set of scans that are AI supported. So you download our app. The AI guides you to capture quality images of 13 regions of your body. So it's assessing closeness, distance, lighting, background, focus, and as soon as it gets a quality image, it captures that image and puts it up to our cloud database. The AI is also looking for suspicious spots and will guide you to take a close-up picture of anything that looks suspicious
Oh,
and send that to the cloud as well. So it takes 10 minutes to do our scans. Um, then our technology in the cloud does a full AI analysis using mathematical application of AI. And I won't go into deep detail, but it's basically it computes a mathematical equivalent of your normal skin, and then it uses the mathematical AI to identify statistically significant outliers on your skin and highlight those. And then the highlighted scans, the full scans, go to our panel of dermatologists who review your full body skin exam, but using technology, not just their eyes. So it's a different level of accuracy and completeness than you get in clinic. And within 48 hours of completing your scans, you get a report back from one of these dermatologists. It comes from us, but it's from one of these dermatologists. And it basically triages your condition. And 2/3 of the people we scan, there's no immediate risk of skin cancer. So we saved you 6 to 9 months, doctor visit. We've also taken all that activity out of the pipeline for the dermatologists who are too busy anyway. And we tell you we now have your baseline exams in our database. Every time we rescan you, we'll compare to the previous exams, but you're good to go. The next 20% roughly, we say there's something here that will benefit from being seen by a doctor. It's not urgent, but when you next see a doctor, take our scan with and make sure they look at this spot. And then 5 to 10%, the remainder, we see something that urgently needs to be seen in clinic by a dermatologist as quickly as possible. And we have a network of over 600 practicing dermatologists around the country. And if you want us to introduce you to one of them in your zip code that accepts your insurance, their commitment is to see you in clinic within 2 or 3 weeks at the most. And then you
wow.
go into that meeting and you don't need their visual skin exam. You've got our scans. The doctor has them before you arrive, and you're in ready to go right into the full clinical diagnosis and treatment as needed. And so from the time you see a spot you're worried about to being in clinic, if it needs to be seen 1 month rather than 9 months to just get that first skin exam appointment.
Yeah.
And cost is dramatically better with us. The in-clinic 15 minutes is $250 to $350. And then if you need something, then you go back in, obviously, to the queue to get the diagnostic appointment and so forth. Our full service at the moment is $189 per customer. So you get the app, you get the scans, you get the analysis, you get the report back from the doctor, and you get the connection to care in a month for $189. I'll just mention accuracy is also far superior to what the doctor can do with his eyes, with his naked eye. Stanford Dermatology did a study with us and published a paper that says that they think that one of their well-trained, seasoned dermatologists might approach 80% accuracy with these 15-minute exams. They said ours performed at 95% accurate.
Wow. That's amazing.
So, we touch all the four cornerstones of healthcare breakthrough: quality, cost, access, and outcomes.
I mean, even if someone has access to a dermatologist and they go to the dermatologist regularly, there's still added value, it seems, for the patient and really the dermatologist to utilize this kind of AI approach to really just increase the accuracy to
Exactly.
significantly.
My
Yeah.
my my dermatologist is one of the founders of that chain that we took up to 164. And for my annual exam last year, I sent her my scans
Hmm.
before I went in for the visit. And she looked at it and she said, this is fantastic. I now start our conversation much farther down the road and with much higher accuracy, and we know where to
Yeah.
go and what to do with it. And so teaching the market to understand and consider adopting this kind of innovation is where the challenge lies. And you get all the universe that's used to seeing this done the way that it's always been done, and getting them to stop and
Yeah.
understand the advantage of this is where we are with the business.
Is the challenge with the physicians, with the dermatologists, with the patients? Like, who is it challenging to help understand?
Um, so our business model to date has been primarily offering this product to self-insured employers and unions who want to provide skincare to their employees without all the delay. And
Hmm.
United Airlines is our biggest customer. We've scanned, I think, close to 10,000 of their employees. And we do not only the at-home scans, but for United, we set up privacy tents in their terminals, and we catch their employees changing flights, and so we can,
Oh,
do
wow.
it on site, do
Yeah.
health fairs and so forth. And their employees love us, and we've scanned now some of them for a couple of years. Scott the pilot stopped by our event in San Francisco this year and said, "I'm back and you saved my life." And we said, "Well, how did we do that?" And he said, "Well, I had a spot I was worried about. You scanned it, nothing there, but you found a melanoma on my back the size of a fist."
Oh my goodness.
He
Wow.
said, "I had no idea that it was there, and it was truly life threatening." So we remediated that, and it's gone. It's interesting that the customer seems to catch on quickest, Michael, because they're, at the far end of the pipeline trying to get in to get the care
Right.
that they need. And they're very excited about this kind of a solution. The employers generally catch on pretty quickly, but their benefits people aren't used to buying product like this. And we
Right.
have an actuarial model that can take the predictive skin cancer information from a population for an employer and put it into our model and help them see that for every scan they invest in, they're going to cost something in year one, but starting in year two, they're getting a positive ROI. And over 5 years, they're going to get 5 to 6 times back in cost savings from what they spend in our scans. And United Airlines has the airlines have higher incidence of skin cancer. There are
Yeah.
audiences that have higher risk. Professional athletes, another one that we're working hard to get to, where they're living outdoors, and
Right.
airline ramp people are outdoors all the time, and their pilots and crew are flying closer to the air to the sun, and so their exposure is higher. So they're looking at right now a 20 to 25% ROI. You get self-selection. When you introduce this to a population, they come first, and the people that are most worried are your first people you scan. So it'll probably normalize a little bit. But back to the people making the buying decision, they're just not used to buying healthcare this way.
Right.
They also tend to think in the annual cycle of re-enrollment and all that. And we say, no, we can be live doing scans tomorrow. Um, Literally tomorrow for your employees, so you don't have to wait. So it's teaching them about the product, about the technology, about the opportunity, about the economics, and about the ease of adoption that takes a while. And all these people are busy. They're all working on their normal cycle of things, so that's a challenge. Selling it to the clinics is another challenge because all of these practicing clinicians are being told, see more people in less time and charge less, and do
Right.
your electronic health records at the end of the day. And we show up and say, we've got an enormous value add for your business, but we need a couple hours to teach it to you. And they say, I don't have 2 hours. And so working our way through that, I think there's some critical mass and there's some connection, Michael, as we get to where we're referring to this network, we're referring thousands of patients every year. The people we refer to are going to naturally get a chance to see how this technology works. And I think we'll get to a tipping point where they'll easily be able to adopt it because it's part of their practice. And
Yeah.
my dermatologist looked at this and said, I want this for my whole chain. And it's
Hmm.
now a year later, and we don't have it for their whole chain because they need to get all 500 of their clinicians to circle around and
Oh
understand
my
it and want
goodness.
to adopt it in
All
their
right.
office. And
Yeah.
ironically, the largest number of network members that we have from any chain is from that chain. So the few doctors that take the time to understand it want it, and they get the patients and they get the technology.
So help me understand, like from kind of my world I live in, primary care clinic, a group of physicians. Obviously, there's value in i- if they can offer this to their patients, it's going to be a higher. I mean, primary care physicians are not specialized in identifying skin cancer, so just to have this technology is of huge value from that perspective. Is there value from an ROI perspective for a primary care clinic?
Yes, and that's a great point. And we have a nice little base of primary care and concierge clinics who see this as a very important value add to what they offer to their ongoing patients. And the ones that have adopted us, you come in for your blood draws on day one, they do all your scans, and then you come back 2 days later for the results and an action plan. In the meantime, we've reviewed it, given them the report, and they're ready to go through that, and we have the connection care to care for them. And so the primary care physicians we work with say this is just spectacular. My people are all worried about their skin care, but all I've
Yeah.
been able to do is send them off to a 9 month wait for a
Hmm.
dermatologist. So this is enormous value. The economics, we're still trying to figure out for them. What our current model is that we install the technology in their office. We can private label it for them too, by the way, so it becomes
Okay.
even a tighter customer relationship piece. And we teach one of their mid levels how to administer the scans. We help them get an iPad, which is the best technology to use.
Okay.
Then they pay us a monthly. They pay us to install it $500, and then they pay us monthly, minimum $500 that lets them to run a certain number of scans through it, and we tier up from there if they need to do more scans. And so what basically the ones that are using it have done is they do it as a value added benefit, and it's a direct bill to the patient. So the patient just pays for it. Um,
What
we
about insurance? Does insurance not play, or what kind of role
that's
does insurance play, both in the diagnosis part, but also in if they're sent to see a dermatologist?
Yep. So if they once they get in clinic, their normal insurance works the way their
Okay.
normal insurance
Yeah.
works. And so copays and reimbursement and
Yeah.
billing and all that stuff is just whatever their plan provides. Whether or not an insurance company will pay for the scan is a part of our frontier, and it's a
Yeah.
patchwork.
Yeah.
Uh, we have a great relationship with the Blues of Illinois, largely driven by United saying we want this for our people and we want to get it through our claims program. So
Okay.
they process our claim, our scan cost like any other claim. It gets paid, and it's easy. And then Blue Card members in other states, not in United, but other Blue Card members have the same access. And then we're getting closer with Cigna and Aetna to that kind of a relationship.
Okay.
Again, it's helping them understand this is not your normal pay for a scan experience because we connect it to immediate care and you're going to
Right.
save money very quickly on the claim side. United Healthcare, no interest in any of this stuff. They're not going to pay for scans, and we'll
Yeah.
get to that one when we get to it. But it's coming up the curve. Medicare, Medicaid will pay for some slice of it. We don't get full reimbursement, and there's some conditions on exactly what it looks like the patient has, but we're working on that. And as an aside, when we get to where we want to get to with the FDA, which will be a de novo pre-approved classification, that'll clear away a lot of the headwinds in
Hmm.
Medicare, Medicaid, and in the payer market. Right now, we're Class One registered. We think we're fine there, but we don't get the respect that we'll
Right.
get when we go through the de novo
Yeah.
pre-approval process.
What kind of timeline are you looking at there? Any idea?
Yeah, 1 year is
Yeah.
our
Okay.
green. We
Yeah.
started the process. We've got a great firm that is representing us, and hopefully we can get to an early meeting with the FDA. They've already taken a close look at our technology, and we think we're in a good place, defensible where we are, but helping them help us design what we need in the way of proof. And we've got real world data now. We've done about 50,000 scans. So we've got real
Wow.
world data that we can
Yeah.
share with them. We've got the clinical analysis that Stanford Dermatology did, also Northwestern Dermatology here in Chicago did a study and trying to test and try to fool the technology, see how accurate it was, and
Right.
also
That's good.
test it across the various
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick skin types. And we perform very well across all shades and color of skin. So we've got that already in our pocket to work with the FDA on.
What about like who's the category of we've talked about dermatologists, primary care physicians, employers, unions, like who would be the category of people for you to get in touch with and have those conversations or education that you think would bring most value to getting this in the hands of more patients and providers?
Um, I mean, I think I mean, the employer market and the union market is a very strong market for us, and we definitely want to keep pushing the pedal to the metal there.
Hmm.
We've just we've just launched the direct consumer version August 1,
Okay.
which we think is another huge market.
Yeah.
Um, in the US, and this is a little bit eye popping and a little bit misleading, but 95% of the counties in the US have no resident dermatologist, practicing dermatologist. Now, if you're in Atlanta or Chicago
Right.
and you're in a 8 county area and you have to drive to one where there are dermatologists, the fact that there isn't one in the suburb that you live in isn't a big deal. But there are areas where they're literally dermatology deserts, where a person's looking at a 3-hour drive to get to the closest dermatologist. And
Mhm.
so helping them get an understanding of when it's important for them to make that 3-hour drive and also to get somebody they can see within 3 hours is enormous value add. And certainly the agricultural market is important there. There are big manufacturing centers, and as we're attracting more manufacturing into the U.S., there are going to be plants built for large numbers of employees who are a long way away. So that's both direct to consumer and the employer market for us to focus on. But I think the the primary care and concierge clinics are important. We've talked about med spas. We've
Yeah.
had one conversation which we're just resurrecting because we felt that we needed to get the direct to consumer model in place because that's a self pay market. So we're going to get that going again. But med spas are a natural. They're all people that are spending money out of their own pocket to take care of their own health and well being with a lot of focus on the skin. And so we think that's an important audience for us to focus on.
Yeah, I deal with med spas a lot. What's the revenue like for like you get this in the hands of a med spa that they use for, and I agree, their clients would probably be of great interest. I mean, they're in there actually taking care of their skin, many of them. And this is just another way to do that. Like what is in it kind of for the med spa? How do you make it a value to them?
Well, a couple ways. One is we can really accelerate their patient acquisition. We
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
get out to direct to consumers and link them with a site where they can be seen, their skin can be seen. People that
Hmm.
are worried about their skin aren't just worried about skin cancer. Obviously, Michael,
Yeah.
the largest organ in our body, and we live with it all our lives, and we're living longer, and
Yeah.
we're more concerned about our appearance. And so there's good reason why the med spa business is growing so rapidly. So we
Yeah.
can offer that, but we also need to look at our economics. And if we can both get greater flow of patients, we can do some revenue sharing out of
Okay.
our fee with the med spa. And there are no regulatory limitations on that. We're not
Right.
doing referrals or start violations or any of that. We
Hmm.
don't do referrals. We just do introductions. So it's a pretty clean ramp to think about the economics of that kind of a relationship.
What are you doing to, I mean, because there's obviously med spas have just really exploded. What are you doing to get in front of them to have those conversations? How are you connecting with them?
As I say, we've got one that found us through a mutual
Okay.
introduction and had a lot of exciting conversation, but needed to get the direct to consumer model up and operating. So we're re-energizing that conversation
Okay.
now, and otherwise we're flying blind into that market. So
There's
it'll be
so
cold
much,
calls
yeah.
and yeah, looking
Yeah.
for intros.
Yeah, there's definitely so much opportunity for that's what I do. I mean, I get in touch with multiple med spas every day for something else I do, but it is there's a huge market out there. That's why I was kind of curious, like how do you even get in touch with them? Well, it's just kind of repeated reach outs and conversations and touch points and showing value, right? That's what they're going to be looking for. Like what's in it for me, like the rest
Yeah,
of us,
yeah, yeah.
to really have that explained to them repeatedly, because we all need like 7, 8 touch points before we move forward. Oftentimes, there's a lot of value in that for you. I can see a huge market there.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
you and I should take that offline. Look at
Yeah,
it through your eyes and think
yeah.
about how do we move into that frontier.
What do you think? Yeah, for sure. Definitely do that. Look 6 to 12 months out. Like for SkinIO, what would happen that you would feel like we've had the best 6 to 12 months I could have expected? Like that magic wand actually did the trick. What would that look like 6 to 12 months out from now?
So revenue is our key measure, lo and behold, and then scans drives revenue. But we're looking at more of a subscription model for the direct to consumer business.
Hmm.
So it'll smooth out some revenues. But we'll the year I arrived, we did 500,000 of revenue. 2024, we did a million. This year, we're a million. Year to date, we'll do 2 to 2.5 million.
Okay.
We've run numbers out through 2029, and our dream goal is 7 million next year. So 2.5 to 3 times X next year. We're crossing a million covered lives this year, and we look to getting out to 2.5 to 3 million covered lives next year. Funding is an important part of the strategy for young companies, and we're in the market
Yep.
now looking to raise 10 million, which will give me the powder I need to really accelerate direct to consumer, the network, the FDA strategy, team building, and building the technology. Those are the things that are really going to drive it. So we'll have the funds to get all of those up to a much stronger plateau going forward.
So if there's a consumer out there, like you're a good month into your consumer facing, um, what's the best way for a consumer to find out more and get connected with the service?
So the landing page is at go.skinio.com. And if somebody goes to that landing page, it will guide them through the decision to buy and the purchase. And then once they purchased, we link them back into the App Store. They download the app and can conduct their scans.
Okay.
I will mention that the easiest way to do scans is to have a friendly photographer with you to do it. We have a pure selfie mode, but getting a camera set up on a shelf behind you to do your back is a little awkward and clunky.
Yeah.
A friendly photographer with an iPad can do the scans in 8 to 10 minutes. If you're doing it selfie, it's going to stretch out to probably 13 to 14 minutes to conduct the scan. So it's easier that way. But if somebody wants to go to go.skinio.com, we can lead them through it. I'd be happy to hear from anybody. I'm at steve@skinio.com is my email address. So anybody that wants a little coaching or a little support to be able to administer it or a little more information, I'd love to hear from any
No,
of
that's
them.
Fantastic. Well, what about for providers, med spa? Would the best way be for them to just reach out directly to you?
Yep, I'll get them introduced to our development team, our sales team, and be very creative and quick in responding to their interest.
And can you repeat your contact information for them?
Sure, it's Steve, Steve, at skinio.com. And I'll
Perfect.
take the risk. Phone number would be 312-405-0748. And then the link to the landing page is go.skinio.com.
Well, fantastic. I think I might be reaching out to you from multiple perspectives. I'm kind of curious, both from my primary care world, but also from how do we get you in front of more people. So fantastic, Steve. I appreciate you taking some time. It's a fantastic service. I know for one, I'm going to be signing up for it. Like I said, have a history of multiple skin cancers. Thankfully, not anything melanoma. I've had an atypical mole. I am my father's son, right? And we didn't know 20 years ago when we were doing things. I'm good boy now, but 20 years ago, we just didn't know the damage that we were doing. So,
Yeah,
but
well,
yeah,
the key predictors of skin cancer are age, ethnicity, which you've touched on, genetics, obviously sun exposure, family history of cancer, and the individual's history of cancer. And
yeah,
we have a model that allow us to capture that information and run it through a whole population and predict what the likelihood of cancer is. But where you have those predictors, you're very smart to be adopting behaviors that can protect you. That's another thing we're working on is skin
good.
protection, but then also surveillance so that you can find it early. And if you can find skin cancer early and get it treated early, it's eminently curable. And then you're just watchful waiting. And if we had if we had America adopting our scans the way they make a biannual dental exam
Right.
available for free,
Yeah.
we could have no more stage 1, 2, 3, 4 skin
Hmm.
cancer. We catch it all at 0 and
Yeah.
1. And nobody dies of cavities that I'm aware of, and yet we're so happy
Yeah.
to pay for that. But we're still trying to figure out how we can make this technology available easily to people. We'll get there.
Great point. I think you can just look around and you see so many people that are neglecting not only just the care of their skin, like from a daily perspective, but really in actually getting the care for their skin. It just that a lot of people just don't understand the value in it. So we have some education to do because it's so
Yeah,
critically important. Yeah.
yeah. Well, the
So
dermatologist is in the critical path, and there's
yeah,
one dermatologist for every 33,000 Americans.
that crazy. Yeah.
So earn
Yeah.
your way into your rightful place in that queue.
Right. Well, the fact that the whole SkinIO process gives them such ready access, or availability, let's call it, to a dermatologist is pretty phenomenal because I know how long it can take to get through that cycle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Well,
All
thank you
right.
so much. I
Well,
appreciate you taking the time, walking the team through it. And hang on a second, we'll chat a little bit more. I appreciate it. All right. See
okay. Thanks, Michael.
ya.
Yep.